So, Zach, just start with, would be opportunistic be the best way to describe Saturday? How would you describe Saturday and positives and negatives of what you saw?
Yeah, obviously we got the job done. Turnovers help that. Usually you win the turnover margin, you win the game, particularly, +4. That's always going to help you win. Our guys, I thought they played hard. I thought there were moments where we showed the defense we can be, and there were moments that were still disappointing. And I told them that. We went into the meeting on Sunday, and I said, listen, guys, we should have dominated. This should have been a 30-point victory, and we let them hang around by just not having details on things. You're sitting there calling out the screen before it comes on 3rd and 16, signaling it. Everybody's talking it on the field, and they still get it. Fellas, we got to be better in those situations. So you look at a couple critical third downs, could have ended drives, which would have saved, really 21 points probably on 3rd and long that we end up having to play, and that gives them just a chance to get back in the game where I felt like we could have, just stepped on the gas and run away with it if we just played a little bit better.
Turnovers, everybody wants turnovers, but does it sometimes just the bounce of the ball, or is there a way to create that you guys did well Saturday?
Yeah, I think, we've been getting pressure the last couple weeks, and that helps. Puts pressure on the quarterback to get the ball out and not take the sack, and so that leads to, creating some of those turnovers, and, that part of that is creating indecision, making him hold it, making the pre to post snap picture look different. So when they get out there, it's not a simple, we'll just throw it over here. And I think that's the key is it making that guy uncomfortable and kind of getting him to throw the ball where you want him to.
There's some unknowns this weekend. You look at this team you're playing, and they've got athletes, and they play 3 different quarterbacks, and the word out there is they're going to go with a freshman. You have to go with multiple plans. How do you kind of put together something with a lot of unknowns?
Yeah, I think, they've played all 3, so at least you've had reps of him in the game, getting to see him play. My biggest thing is just we've got to be able to execute our defense, versus what they do. They're not going to just somehow, at least I don't think they're going to suddenly come out and run a triple option under center. They might, but I doubt it. So they're probably going to be similar to what they've done because all 3 quarterbacks are fairly similar. They're good athletes. They can throw the ball down the field. And I know that the reps that he's gotten in the games, he's been a good player, and you see why they probably want to turn and see if they can get him, create a spark for the team. And, I guess you get ready for all of them, thinking you're going to see everybody because they may start the freshman and, hopefully he throws 3 picks and they pull him out, so you get ready for everybody and just try and take it what you can.
Just watching the Arizona game, they have team speed offensively. That's got to be a concern to you.
Yeah, they can run. Everybody on the team can run. The quarterback can run, running backs, receivers, tight end, the left tackle. He probably outrun me in a race, so they can move, and we've got to be, on our point to make sure that we don't give up explosive plays.
Following up on the screen pass you mentioned and them converting a couple of those 3rd and longs, you had a 3rd and 8, and 8 players rushed. First of all, was that the call? And second, is that an outgrowth of, man, we're not stopping them this way, I may try this, or this is the time to unleash an all-out blitz?
Yeah, that's not the first time we've done that. We actually blitzed 9 against Pitt, I think, one of those plays. But just felt like the quarterback was uncomfortable with, zero pressure. And, one thing, if you're going to show pressure all the time, well, you better bring it once or twice so they have to respect it. And I felt like early in the game I wanted to come after him and see if he could stand in there and throw the pass and complete it. And obviously he fumbles and we get a big play because of that. But no, it was something we worked on and called in the moment.
His problems holding the ball, 3 or 4 rolling out, and then the pick 6 didn't seem like it had a lot of zip on it either. Does that play into that too? Hey, if we can get there, he may throw a bad ball?
Absolutely. I hope this week he throws 3 of them behind himself without us having to do anything. That's definitely helpful. I remember a couple years ago I felt really bad. We played Maryland when I was at Clemson, and they had 5 quarterbacks get hurt for the season in camp. So they started a walk-on linebacker that played quarterback in high school, and the first pass of the game, he just rips it backwards, and it goes back about 15 yards, and we scoop and scored it for a touchdown. And I just remember the end of the game, I've never felt bad for a team, but, man, I felt bad for them. It was like they couldn't do anything. So, anytime they want to help us out, I'm all for it.
So you mentioned a couple weeks ago that you wanted Jamori to be a dude. looked like he was more of a dude at Houston. What was different about him? What led to that performance from him, and what do you expect moving forward now from him?
I think reps. I mean, he got void of an entire spring ball, all of fall camp. I mean, half the season. He didn't play for 4 weeks in the season. So, you talk about a guy that may have been here in the spring and took all those reps in spring ball and took all the reps in fall camp. And, I mean, that's 3,000 plus reps of defense you're getting. And no matter how much you study, no matter how much you do, it's different to go out there and execute, to actually have to react and read and be able to remember what to do based on what they do or what the call is. And so I just think, as we got later in the season, just he's accumulated more reps in practice, and that's probably translated to him playing better because he knows what to do better.
What stood out to you lately about Fred Perry?
I mean, he plays hard. Fred's the same guy every game, every week. He's going to give everything he's got. He's 100% all the time. Run to the ball, trying to make plays and hit people, and that's what you love about him. Is that relentlessness to perform at a high level. And so the last couple weeks, I feel like he's just been put in good situations, and he's executed on those moments.
What does Julian Lewis do so good? And, is there anything that he does that made him a top recruit in high school?
Yeah, I mean, he can sling the ball over the field. He runs well. I mean, he's shifting the pocket, gets away from people. I would assume that I wasn't recruiting him, so I don't know for sure what he did in high school. But based on the tape he does now, I mean, he looks like a great player, and he's going to be still a freshman. I mean, all freshmen have growing pains anywhere in any position across the country, but I think he's got a chance to be an elite talent just from his arm and his ability to scramble and see the field.
You've been asked, I think, a couple weeks ago, what's pass interference. Did last week clear it up for you?
Not a bit. I'm so confused I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I always say my struggle is if I can't coach it better, I don't know how to help them. And it's if you grab a guy or you don't get your head around those things, I totally get that. But I said all the time, man, listen, great coverage plus a bad ball equals PI every time. You be in phase and they underthrow it, they reward the quarterback. I mean, I don't know what happened to uncatchable, but they'll throw one 8 yards out of bounds and suddenly it's a holding. I'm like, well, he couldn't have caught it anyway. The damn thing hit the stands.
What do you tell Michael Coates on that play?
Keep playing. Play the next play. Same thing with Boyce at the end of the game. I mean, he's going up to catch the football. And he ends up, the receiver runs into him as he's trying to jump and get it. And, I find that the same thing that, any contact at all, it's always going to be on defense. It's the same reason how many offensive targeting has been thrown this year.
It feels like one of those things, it's easy to say, but in the heat of the moment and with competitive players, they're going, man, what else do I have to do or not do to do it? Is that something that has to be reinforced like this week on the practice field, that you played that right?
Yeah, absolutely. You want to keep confidence. I've challenged our guys to play the ball. We had a few weeks in there where, they just catch whatever the heck they wanted because we weren't going up and fighting for it. And back in 2014, we were the number one defense in the country at Clemson, and we led the nation in PIs because you're contesting balls. And it's not going to get thrown every time. And I don't know what to tell them on some of them other than just get up and play the next play, and you can hear what the fans think of it too.
In regards to stacking performances in the latter half of the season, what are you still wanting to see from your defense leading into these final couple of games?
Growth. I want to. I've challenged some of the younger guys who've been playing, and that we're going to come back next year. That they need to step up. That it's time to rise. So we've got momentum rolling into the off season, rolling into bowl games and all that, and trying to give ourselves an opportunity. If we still haven't played a game at any point in my opinion, to what we're capable of. And for various factors, various reasons, that hasn't happened in my mind. I'm somebody that I'm never going to go in a game and think, man, let's win the game, 55-54. Like, no, anything above, about 7 points is just unacceptable to me. And so we're working on and playing to that standard all the time because you see moments of it, and then there are other times where we maybe regress a little bit in the heat of battle, and sometimes don't have an explanation all the time. Why'd you do that? I don't know. That's not a good answer. And so just trying to continue with that consistency of performance every single play. I say, play the next play. Just play the next. Be the best you can be on this play. And then when that play's over, be the best you can be on the next play. And don't worry about what happened 3 plays ago. Don't worry about what they're going to do in the fourth quarter. Play this play right now. And if you do that consistently and focus on the process, you have a chance to be successful of the outcome. And so just trying to buy that mindset, just steer it into our guys, of how we think and how we want to, attack people and play defense.
Zach, you mentioned players coming back next year. At this point in the year, how involved are you in looking at here's our needs, here's what we're going to have to do going forward to next year, or are you just so focused on the day-to-day that you let others pay attention to that?
I think it's a little of both. I'm definitely focused on trying to beat Colorado. That's the number one goal this week. But we're always recruiting. Recruiting never stops. There's Christmas Day, I'll make 15 phone calls, the guys across the country and say Merry Christmas and all that, because that's what you do if you want to be successful. So I think there's always a balance of, hey, we're playing this week, but also, you're all constantly recruiting for next season. But that's no different than it has been in the past, even with the transfer portal and all that. It's probably easier now because the portal didn't open until January, so you ain't got to worry about it as soon as far as just along the lines of when it happens. So, but recruiting high school kids really hard and trying to sign a great class.
With your staff and you're looking at what you've done, is there an area that you guys discuss that, hey, we are clearly better here, we have made considerable strides? Is there a place you can point to?
Yeah, I think just our just basic alignments and what gaps we're fitting. You saw the last 2 weeks. It's hard to run the football if you're in the right place, and you make them one-dimensional. You got a chance to win games. Obviously, you don't want to get bombed on. That's not what anybody wants. But at least if you can keep them from running the ball, it helps everybody. I say the easiest play in football is turn around, hand it to the running back, and he runs right in a straight line downhill. You don't want that to happen. And so I felt like the last 2 weeks, at least our run defense gave us an opportunity to win games, and then after that, we still got to take some explosives away in the pass game. But, that helps as far as just the consistency of fitting gaps, being more physical, and knowing where to go.
Obviously, you've been around the coaching career for a while, and all coaches kind of talk. Do you have any relationship, or what can you share about Coach Prime?
Played him one time at Louisiana Monroe, way back when, there at Jackson State. We beat him that day. I think it was the only loss they had that year. And then he called me afterward because Coach Bowden and he were together at Florida State, so he knew him. And that's the only time I ever talked to him. But he just wanted to know what we saw because we were calling the plays out before they happened. And I think he fired the OC that season, so maybe it didn't go well.
You wouldn't take that call this week if he
So probably would not tell him what we're doing this week. But obviously, just great guy, was awesome to me when we had that kind of conversation, but that's the extent of my real relationship with him.
Well, if you call him on Thursday, you're pretty good on Saturday, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, call him out on Thursday.